Hey, folks, this is Cowboy Bob Orton. You're listening to InYourHeadOnline.com.
There was one other night I was driving down the road with Rick Martel, Roddy Piper, Ed Wiskowski, myself. We've been on the road for 110 straight days. And we had to go to Coos Bay. We were like about, I can say it now because both promoters have passed away. We were about 100, we'd driven about 80 miles, and I was in driving my van, and I looked at Roddy in the back. I said, hey, we were wrestling each other, Roddy and Rick against Ed and I. I said, what if I said we broke down and we took the night off and went home and took our girlfriends out and had a night out at the movies and dinner and didn't have to work tonight? Because we're on for another 90 days after tonight, too. And they said, we took a vote, and we all voted yes. I pulled over, grabbed the payphone, called the building, told Elton Owens we broke down. Just tell the fans the airplane we were on got canceled or something. Well, come to find out, the show ended up being a good house, and there was no ring. No ring ever showed up. So the guys wrestled on mats, and it was Johnny Boyd, one of the Kangaroos. About 6 wrestlers showed up, and we didn't show. We went back home, and like Roddy said, he never missed a show in his life. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't because of drugs or anything like that. We just went home because we were so tired from being on the road. It was a 200-mile trip and 200 miles back, which isn't that far, really. But we were burnt out. We wanted a night off, and we just wanted to go home. We basically kicked it, went home and had dinner, and went to our own families, and we basically got a good night's sleep, and then we were all batteries were recharged. We went another 90 days without any days off. But that was a funny night, too.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Roddy's a great guy, and Red Bastien and all of us, we all go back to the early 70s, and Red Bastien helped Roddy and I a lot throughout the business, and Roddy's helped me, and I helped Roddy a lot. Roddy was in L.A. I was the U.S. champion in San Francisco, and I went to L.A., and I told Roddy, why don't you come up to Portland? I says, what are you making here a week? He told me, I said, you can make more in Portland. He said, man, if I jump ships, I want to make sure the next ship I get on is sailing just as good, if not better. I said, I guarantee you'll make more. And he came up to Portland, and boom, he was a babyface up there. He was a heel down in L.A., but he came up to Portland, went babyface with Killer Brooks against Ed and I, and we made money for a couple of years there, nothing but sellout shows, you know.
Mm-hmm. Another caller here. Who is this?
This is Tex. How you doing, Jack?
Good. You're on there with Buddy Rose. You got a question?
Yes, I have a couple of... Oh, hello, Playboy Buddy Rose. How you doing?
All right, how are you, sir?
I'm fine. I had a couple of questions for you.
Yes, sir.
My first one is, what is your opinion of the financial and organizational status of the AWA during 1986 and 1987?
Okay, I would say it was on the downfall. I made okay. I got to say, Verne treated Ed Wiskowski and I lived together in an apartment right by the airport, and he paid for our rent because we still lived in Vancouver, Washington, both Ed and I. We flew into Portland, and we just lived like 10 minutes from Portland Airport. But we were still living on the West Coast, our wives and our family. But we would work the AWA, and Verne still took care of us. If we had 3 days, remember the AWA only worked about 3 days a week. So you had 4 days off a lot of times. If you had 4 days off, Verne would pay our trans home to go home, and then we'd fly back to the town we had to go into the next time, and then we'd work it and then go back and stay at our apartment in Minneapolis, and then we'd go and we'd just work the AWA territory, and Verne would pay for our rent-a-car, too, because we didn't bring our cars to the AWA. He paid for our Lincoln Town Car from Budget Rent-a-Car because we got it for $99 a week, and Verne would cut us a check for that, too. So it was a good deal. The rent-a-car was unlimited miles, and so we didn't even have to use our own car. We had a heck of a deal, and I think it was about working 3 days a week, and I still made about $60,000, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
it was easy money.
Anything else there, Spec Son?
Yes, also had another question. Did you ever speak with the late Crippler Ray Stevens during the late 1980s? And if so, what was your opinion of him?
Yeah, I did. I talked to him in the AWA. It was his idea to come up with the bloodbath in Las Vegas. He wanted all 4 of us to get juice, and I was the one that suggested that to Ray. He was kind of helping doing the booking in the office, and I suggested to Ray that I wanted to be... I never got beat by the Rockers. It was always Doug got beat. My deal was, when I went in, that I was never going to get pinned. And I made that deal before I went in, but you had to understand why I did it. It was a psychological reason, because even though we'd lose as a tag team in non-title matches, and Ray Stevens understood this, and I learned it from Ray and Nick and all these guys in the day, as long as they were beating Doug Summers and they couldn't beat me, they still couldn't get that satisfaction, the fans of like, oh, the Rockers finally beat Buddy Rose and Doug Summers. And so if you look at any tapes and or videos of us, you'll never see me getting pinned by any of them. When we went to do the four-way juice, I told Ray Stevens, can I go without getting juice? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm the first guy to get juice. I've gotten juice over 1,000 times, in my life. Not over 1,000, but at least 500 times in my life. I'm not afraid of it at all. I mean, when it's called for, you need it. But I said, if I don't get the juice in this tag match, we're going to have more heat at the end of this tag match because I never get pinned and I didn't get juice, but I'll have a lot of blood on me from them, but I'm still not going to get juice. What do you think, Ray? And Ray Stevens says, I agree. Let's go without the juice with you, but the other three will get juice. And he agreed with me, and I just, Ray Stevens was a genius and was a great worker. And so I just got to say, Ray Stevens, as Bobby Heenan and anybody that tagged up with him, or Bockwinkel, or anybody that worked with him in the San Francisco days, it's too bad he wasn't alive because he'd probably be the biggest legend you could bring out to San Francisco because he is the San Francisco treat. But the guy was an icon in wrestling. He lived every day like Christmas. He went down. He lived every day like on motorcycles. He could ride horses and take down a steer and just like at a rodeo. I mean, he'd be a great performer there at a rodeo. He was a legitimate tough guy, but he was in the ring. He was just like kid gloves. He treated you like kid gloves. Can I tell you a Ray Stevens story?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I was in New York tag team with him in '82, '83. He came in New York, and it was the most money he said he ever made. And same for myself. And we're in New York, and I'm sitting there, and I'm tagging up against Snuka and Pedro Morales against Ray Stevens and myself in Rochester, New York. And Ray Stevens says, "Kid, you're going to have to take all the bumps tonight." He says, "I'm getting too old for this." I said, "I got you, Ray. I got your back. I can take them." So, boom, we go out there, and I'm taking all these bumps on this comeback. And son of a gun, if Ray says, tag me, I tag him. He goes in and takes twice as high of a heel, twice as high of a backdrop, twice as high of his, he goes up to the top rope, gets slammed off the top. I try to do it. I do it, no problem. But he goes higher, and I'm like, we get to the back, and I said, I thought you told me to take all the bumps. You were getting old, and you wanted to take it easy. He says, I still got it, kid. And I was like, no. I mean, to watch him still fly through the air like a gazelle, like the days when I was 18, 19, watching him with Bockwinkel and Stevens in the AWA, it was when they were the World Tag Team Champions. To see him do that and take the fans to another level, I was like, I thought I knew a lot, and then I said, man, you never stop learning in this business. And I said, when we got back to the dressing room, Ray Stevens just burst out in a big laugh, and we hugged Rocky and we hugged Snuka, and we said thanks for the match, but they just looked at Ray like, man, you are unbelievable. And he was one of the best ever to step foot in a ring. To me, the best ever that I ever saw, though, personally, in my life, wrestling a ring, and there's a lot of great ones, from Terry Funk to the Briscoes to Dory to Nick and Ray and Verne Gagne and Billy Robinson and Red Bastien. They were all great. But the best worker I ever saw, attention to detail, and I'm a kind of guy that was attention to detail, was Bob Orton Jr. To me, he could have been the AWA World Champion, the NWA World Champion, or the WWF Champion on any given day or time of his career. He was that great. And I said that at the CAC, and I'll say it in my book, and I'll say it on the air here. Bob Orton Jr., to me, was one of the best wrestlers ever put on this planet that stepped into a square circle. And he brought out the best in his opponents. And I stole a lot of psychology and a lot of stuff that he did. I brought it back to the Northwest when I saw him, because he was in the WWF the same time I was in 82, 83, getting the same push I was. And I learned a lot from that guy, and I never saw anybody perform night after night like him. I would even be done for the night and showered, and I would stay and watch his match because I was in awe. And I normally am not in awe of other people like that, but I was like, I just wanted to get to my room and just go back and go eat and go back to my room and be done for the night. If Orton was still on after me, I wanted to watch it. Even if I'd seen that match the night before, I wanted to see it again because I couldn't believe what he could do in the ring and how attention to detail he was.
Mm-hmm.